Well,
Okay.
the broadcast will start very, very soon. So we
Mm-hmm.
will be live with the people. How you
Shortly,
feeling though?
shortly. Pretty good.
Very, very
Hmm?
shortly. Good. You look good.
Yeah. Thanks, you
I think
too.
I think it's almost time.
It's almost time. It's
It's
almost
almost
time.
time.
I'm
The
so
brown
excited.
stuff. It is. All right, all right, all right. I think it is time. All right. So what I think we should do is just go ahead and welcome people into the show. It's a new year.
It is a new year, a new season. So excited.
It is. New year. And I know there was something else you said about it. You had a saying, and I gotta hear it in my notes. I call myself trying to be a little bit better with the notes this season. So
Same.
I hope that I do a good job. New
Okay.
year, new me. New
Mm-hmm.
year, new me. That's what we're gonna talk about. You feel
Yep.
that?
I do.
So
I feel it.
what I think we need to do is go ahead and roll our beautiful intro. All right, all right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Brown South Girls podcast. I'm Miss Tanya. I'm one half of the Brown South Girls.
And I'm KJ. I'm the other half of the Brown South Girls.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, how are you doing?
I am doing pretty great. January definitely sped by this year. Normally, it is a really slow time for the year, but this creeped up on us real fast. But I'm excited and glad to be here, and I'm glad we're on season 2. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. The year started out, and like you said, there's been a lot going on. Well, as you know, there's
Yeah.
been a lot going on in our family behind the scenes with and there's just a lot going on in the world. But just for me in
Hmm.
particular, had a lot going on, and believe it or not, I'm a little bit under the weather right now. A
Hmm.
little bit under the weather, so I hope I make it through this show without sneezing and without my eyes watering. So
That was me all last week.
really, that's
Yes,
how
I
I've been
was
feeling.
sneezing and coughing. I said, let me dig up some of my mama remedies because I will not feel like this for too long.
Yeah, and believe it or not, same with your brother. So it's like we must have synchronized colds,
We had to. We had
clearly.
to.
And believe it or not, he called me today to check in on me. I was like, wow.
Well, I texted him today. He texts back in spurts. So I got a response today. But checking in on him, make sure he was doing good too. So it must
Yeah,
have just
yeah,
been in the
yeah.
atmosphere.
I think so. I really do.
Hmm.
But like I said, this is a topic that most people talk about in January. They talk about the new year.
Hmm.
They say new year, new me. And I'm wondering like, what does that really mean? Because every year people say that very same thing. But
Hmm.
what are some of the things that they really mean? And what are some of the
Right.
things that you feel like that statement means for you right now in this year, this 2023?
Well, it's interesting because, like you said, a lot of people, we always say New Year, New Me, especially every time the New Year comes around. But I was actually having a conversation with one of my friends, and instead of saying New Me, New Year, New Me, they were like, you know what? This year it's a new me, not a new me, sorry. It's a new year, but I have new habits. So I'm developing new habits to kind of get myself to where I want to be in life instead of just saying, oh, yeah, New Year, New Me. I'm going to do all of these things differently that I haven't done for the past 12 months. And I think just that in itself takes away a lot of pressure of feeling like you have to make all these adaptations and make all of this change and like you have to commit, but just giving yourself the grace to just form new habits and decide, okay, this is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. And these are the steps that I'm going to take to get there. I think making that plan and having that plan makes it a lot less stressful than just being like, oh yeah, new year, new me. I'm going to be this brand new person all of a sudden because it's January. So that has kind of been my take on it. It's just a new year and I have some new habits, but I'm still the same me.
Absolutely. I like that because that's
Yeah.
very important. I think you're right because just by saying new year, new me, I'm going to be honest, that sounds a little stale. We got to
Right.
stop saying that. You have to put more meaning behind that. So I like where
Hmm.
you guys went, because for one thing, when you say new year, new me, you got to know that it's really about a new practice, a new
Right.
commitment. You can't just say
Hmm.
that you're going to do something, because just saying that, you're not going to do it. But if
Right.
you actually make new commitments and form new habits, that's when you're going to see something positive getting done. Um, what are
Right.
some of our people here? I hope you guys are tuning in with us. Let us know where you're watching from. I know we've got some
Hmm.
people viewing in. I'm not so sure. I'm trying to look at my phone and do so many different things at the same time. I got a screen here. I got a screen here. I got one here. So
Listen,
I want to make
I
sure that I can see what's going on, and I'm not really so sure yet in terms of people going with the comments. So somebody go ahead and make a comment. Let us know where you
ooh,
are watching us from. Go ahead and
we
let us
got Keisha
know.
from Baltimore.
All
Hey.
right. Go ahead and post that up. Who we got? Keisha from
Look, I feel like
Baltimore.
I got to get used to this again. You done had us a little break. I was like, wait a minute.
We've had a hiatus, but
Right.
in fact, why people are chiming in and letting us know where they're watching us from, why don't you go ahead and tell us, what have you been doing since we've last done this?
Well, I have done a lot of things.
Really?
I've gotten a new job, so we could talk about that in the new year, new me, because that's important. Know your worth. That was my
Okay.
one of my new habits. I have moved, and like I said, I've been practicing some new habits. I've been in the gym consistently since October, so holding myself accountable, trying to get a little stronger. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. It's been an interesting new year for sure.
Great, great, great. I see we got I was putting up, I saw a few of them, like the comments are coming
Hmm.
in now. I saw a few people coming in. Got somebody in here from Dylan. What's up, Dylan, South
Yes.
Carolina? Dylan in the house. How you doing, Felton? Easy. Good to have you here. And I see Latifa. Good to have you join us. Hey girl. She's in
High
High Point, North
Point.
Carolina. That's not far from where you are. Not
I
not
was
too
about
too
to say
far.
I've heard of High Point for their university, but I'm not sure like exactly where they are on the map.
They're
Geography
within that
wasn't my
little
best subject.
They're in that little triad area of Greensboro, Winston-Salem,
Okay,
and High Point.
nice.
Right. So
Hey,
that's where
High
they are.
Point, fellow
All
North
right.
Carolina.
Yes, yes, yes. And then we've got Open Door Baptist Church. How you doing, Michelle? She is from Florence. Flowtown is in the
Yes,
building. We got
always.
love for Flowtown. Always got love. All right. Annie McCall, how you doing? Annie, she went ahead and let people know where she is really coming from. She was like,
From Flowtown.
Flow Town. All
Right,
right, all right.
Flowtown.
So how y'all feeling? It's something we've been talking about, new year, new me, and we've said, like, no more of that. That's
Mm,
just too general. That's not making people, like, it's not making you really do things different. You're just saying the same thing over and over. It's about
yeah,
making commitments to doing something. And that commitment, you got to
hmm,
practice it. You got to
yeah,
practice new habits, because you don't really, the thing about habits, it's like we say we want to, well, you go to the gym, right?
hmm,
And in January, you know that there is a huge difference in the people who
hmm,
you see in the gym in January. And
yes,
as the weeks go on, and it's probably sometime within the next couple weeks or so, mid-February, and definitely by March, those numbers are going to drop significantly, right?
hmm, yeah,
Because you got to meet that commitment. You've got to honor it. You can't just say it. What are some of the
right,
things you guys have decided that you are going to make a commitment to do? Because you can't just break old habits. You really
right.
can't. That's the thing about those habits. They're tough. You've got to create new
Hmm.
habits. What's your thought?
And so for me personally, because I know whenever I used to say New Year, New Me, I would have all these elaborate, lavish plans like, yeah, I'm going to come into this year being absolutely fantastic. And then didn't follow through with any of it because I didn't have a plan. And so even before the new year came up, I knew the trajectory I wanted my life to take. I knew the changes I want to make. So like even with the gym, I was like, no, I want to be healthier, I want to get stronger. So I started in October, and I said, you know what, I don't have to wait until January to start. I'm going to I'm going to go 3 days a week. And that's the commitment I'm going to make for right now. And as I was able to do that and make that commitment, then I bumped it up. Okay, let's go 4 days a week and just see how I felt. And I allowed myself that time to gradually grow into that habit. And so now I just made my first 7 workout week. So I was really proud. But
Wow.
just gave myself the time to really grow into my habits, because it takes 21 days to form a habit. So if I want to break old ones, I know I at least need to give myself 3 weeks. And so
Absolutely.
whether I started January 1st, January 2nd, 3rd, 14th, I knew how long it was going to take. And I gave my reachable goals within those habits that I wanted to change.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I see Michelle in here. She said, I gotta practice better self-care. I
Hmm.
take care of others, but often neglect myself. Let me tell you
Yes.
something. So
Yes.
many of us are guilty of that. And
Hmm.
I myself have, I've been guilty of that for quite a bit myself. But you know what?
Hmm.
And I feel like, there's like little bugs in the air. So you guys be careful. It's cold and flu
Right.
season. And also remember, COVID is still out here. So still
Hmm.
practice what you need to practice, do what you need to do to stay healthy, keep your immune system strong. Don't
Hmm.
be up in people's faces and in places that you really don't have to be. So keep in mind that it's still out here. Don't get careless. But what I want to say is, for me, so much had been going on. I mentioned this just a little bit. Like I just had family issues, and we had a family member who was in the hospital. So we're just kind of getting ourselves kind of used to some new family health issues and situation that we have to deal with. Don't really want to go into, it's not secret, but it's not necessarily for me to go into a whole lot of details. But
Hmm.
in I am doing a lot of caregiving, and a lot of people who live with elderly parents or live in the same area with elderly parents. There's just a lot more that you have to do these days that maybe you didn't have to do before, right? And I
Right.
just feel like I was running myself down. I'm going to be honest. I
Hmm.
was really running myself down. And I feel like that's why my immune system got a little weak, and I just started feeling a little lousy. Nose, eyes, everything is just like running. All of this inflammation is just trying to release itself from my body. I just wasn't feeling too good. And I said, you know what? I gotta stop. I've got to take care of myself. I was still trying to work, still trying to meet the demands of a lot of people and just things that I had planned. And you don't plan to get sick. So if you don't plan on getting sick, you don't plan like not being able to do some of the same things that you have been doing. You don't plan for your schedule to get wrecked. And so it's just still trying to meet those demands. And my body just finally said, no, you just not gonna be able to do that. You can't do it. And
Hmm.
made me sit down. Made me sit
Yeah.
down. And I'm also that person who, I just like to work through stuff. I don't know
Hmm.
why we do that. I like to work through stuff, but it sat me down. And for the past few days, I've just been kind of listening.
Yeah.
I've been listening. So even though, I've been in my bed watching a few I've learned a lot of stuff while I've had to to kind of sit down. So
Right.
I had a new program that I wanted to learn, a new editing program. And
Hmm.
so, just got a few tips, watching a few things on YouTube University. So that
Right.
that worked out a lot for me. Um, but
Hmm.
we do that. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
And I think too, when it comes to self care, we have to stop thinking that self care is selfish. Because at the end of the day, I know a lot of us, especially those of us who don't practice self care, I know we have a couple people in the comments saying, just got to do a better job loving on myself. And whether that, like any other, eating healthier, loving more on me. And then we also have Keeping the Faith with Tori, who said, I'm horrible at taking care of Tori. Like, self care is not selfish, because at the end of the day, we give, 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 like you said. But if you can't give yourself that same love and give yourself that same care, you cannot be of a great service to other people. So you have to really think about, okay, what do I need? What do I need to give myself? How do I need to love myself, nourish myself, fill my glass back up so that I can
Mm.
be the service that I want to be? So don't think of self-care as selfish. Like, you got to be able to take care of yourself and be your whole self before we can go give it out to others. Or else, like you said, we're going to run ourselves ragged, and your body will make you take a break if you need it, whether
It
you
will.
want to or not.
Absolutely. It absolutely will. Um, and
Hmm.
and that's just really the bottom line. We don't like to accept
Yeah.
that. And that's just a simple, well, no, I'm not even going to say that's a simple truth. That is a
Yeah.
truth that we allow to be difficult because we don't listen to ourselves.
Hmm.
We don't. I see Keeping Up with C. She was like, right, I started taking self care very seriously last year, and it has helped me greatly.
Yeah.
Listen, I see you out here. C is doing a whole lot of things. If you guys are
Yes.
not keeping up with C, you need to make sure you guys
You better
follow
start.
her. Yes, follow her on all of the platforms. In fact, follow her here on Facebook, follow her on YouTube. She does like some
Hmm.
really good extended content as well. So she's good people doing a whole lot of things. So we see you out here, girl, in these internet
Yeah.
streets. Also, Tori, keep the faith. Very, very, very good podcast. Those are some serious sisters who are doing some serious things in this lane as well. And also another sister who's doing some serious things in this lane is Amina. All good
Hmm.
people that you need to be
Yeah.
following. And that brings me to something that I hadn't planned on talking about here, but since I just brought that up and we kind of talked about that, let's talk about
Yeah.
this. Remember that follow train? The follow train is
Yes,
going on
I
a
do.
lot. Okay, let's talk about the
Yes.
follow train. Let's talk about that for a minute because I have an opinion on the follow train. Do you want me to
Hmm.
go first or do you want to go first?
I'm gonna let you go first because that follow train stressed me out a little bit. So I'm gonna let
Okay.
you go first, and then I'll give my feedback too.
Okay, here we go. The follow train. Listen, I think the follow train is a brilliant idea. Brilliant. I really do. But I really don't think a lot of us are using it to its fullest capacity, to its fullest greatness. And I've talked about this before. I made a reel on it. I think I did a live sometime not so long ago about it. I don't know that I like it. I really don't, because I don't want you to follow me. And I don't want this to sound redundant, but that whole follow for follow, that's all I'm seeing on my timeline now. Come in, we're going to do the midnight follow. It's gone from um, TikTok to now it's on Facebook, and so many people are doing it, but they're not using it properly. Or I don't think that they're using it to its fullest advantage because no one's engaging. If you're not
Right.
engaging, what's the point? So I see my
That's
followers go up, but nobody's watching the videos.
right. And that's what I was gonna say too. Like, in the midst of it, everybody's like, "Oh, follow back, follow back, follow back." And I get it because I personally want to support other people who are trying to grow as well. And so it just got overwhelming for me with all of the, like, people who would follow you and then unfollow you because you didn't follow back in a timely manner, or all the people who would follow you but didn't have any content. So it's like, well, I can't engage with you, but then am I gonna feel bad if I don't follow you back because you followed me? And then are you gonna engage with me? It was a lot for my brain at the time, and just trying to make sure to find, like, I wanted to be more of a support train, I guess, than a follow train. Like, I don't want to just follow people for the sake of following people. I want to support. Like, I really want to help us grow. And the people who have businesses and have pages that have followed me, like, I will go and interact and be like, you go, like, literally interact with whatever they're posting and looking at, because, like, that's what I did it for. We got to grow together. But
Yes, I,
oh,
I
it was
like
it
what
was a
you
lot.
listen. You said something that was really key just now that I really like. I want to support train.
Yeah.
Support. Because listen, here's how I when I knew it really wasn't working. Like I said, you're watching your numbers of followers go up, but you're not watching the engagement go up. You're not watching the video counts
Right.
go up. You're not watching people take advantage of clicking on those links and maybe following you on YouTube, or whatever link that you had, or going over to your website. They're not doing it,
Mhm.
and I don't think that
Right.
makes sense. What is C saying up there?
Basically the same thing, I don't even I did the same thing. I'm like, y'all don't even have videos. Why am I following? And that's the thing. Like,
Exactly.
you have absolutely nothing posted, and you're not going to engage with my content. Like, there's no mutual relationship here. This
Right,
is just,
right.
oh, you just want numbers, but for what? What are you promoting? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to gain? And it's like, come on, I want to support people. Like, I want to see other people win just as bad as I want to win. So give me something to work with, you know?
Absolutely. I don't know. I
Yeah.
think I stopped pretty much. So I was
Oh
like, you
yeah,
know what?
same.
I'm just gonna stay with my natural, organic, small following, because I have people in engagement that I had with like a lower number of followers, so I didn't see the
Right.
advantage of doing that at all. And then
Yeah.
there's a petty side of it, where I saw some of the women coming back and saying, "Okay, well, everybody here, I'm coming now on the follow train. If you're now following me back, I'm getting ready to go back and unfollow." And I'm like,
Hmm.
who has time for that? Like,
Right. It also
who has time to go do that?
exactly. It also got weird for me too, because there were a few men who'd be like, "Oh, well, what about the men?" And I'm like, "Well, this is about women, but if you want to follow, you're more than welcome to." And then on the Brown South girl side, there would be men coming into our DMs, and I'm like, "Well, first of all, it's two of us. Why are you hitting on me and or my mom for this follow train when this is supposed to be a black girl thing? Sir, please excuse yourself." Because that is not what we're here for.
What
So
you
it
say?
was just
Remember the
like, sir,
commercial? Wait,
don't
wait,
touch
that
my
just made
mama,
me.
don't touch my Dorito.
Yeah.
Exactly. Don't talk to my mama, don't talk to me. That's not what we're here for.
Oh my goodness,
It
that
was
is
too
cracking me
much.
up.
Too
That
much.
I don't get it. I really don't. I just said, you know what? I stepped back and I was like, let me just allow all of the people who are petty enough to go through and figure out who's not following them back. Let them
Right.
do all of that work and let them go
Hmm.
ahead and unfollow me. I really want to
Right.
get rid of them in a good, natural way. So I just kind of stepped back a little bit. I'm not taking
Hmm.
that, and no stress that I know
Hmm.
is not working for me. I'm going to enter into in this year. And not just this year, but
Right.
period. I wouldn't have done it last year.
Right.
I really wouldn't have.
Exactly.
Um, let me ask a question. I've
Hmm.
been looking at some things in the news here, and
Hmm.
there's just a lot going on in our community. What
Yes.
is your take on anything that's happening in the community right now that you feel like you want to talk about that may not stress you out in any particular way? And then I'll go to a little headline.
Well, I don't know if things happening in the community don't stress me out right now. I think I feel like this last few weeks has been really heavy for our community, especially with everything going on with Tyree Nichols. Like that, I think had hit so hard. And for me personally, having a younger brother and having, black male friends, like it's crazy to see that other black men could do that to somebody. And, the saying always goes, all skin folk, not kin folk. And I get that. But
Hmm.
just knowing that, police have been a triggering and traumatizing area for Black people, and you as a Black officer have the opportunity to be a safe space for another Black person, and then you go and completely ruin that, that has been really tough and a lot to deal with. Like, I did not watch the video. I was like, I'm not subjecting myself to that secondhand trauma. I already know it's bad enough without having to watch that and see that, but just, I think it was just super disheartening to see us do that to each other.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way that you feel in that regard. But that just goes to show that this thing is not really about the color of your skin in terms of it's very
Right.
systematic. They brought
Mhm.
into a system that is used to doing that. So that's where
Right.
they came from. You know, I
Yeah.
don't want to talk a whole lot about it, but it is
Right.
very disheartening. I want to just give some condolences, sincere condolences to the
Mhm.
family. This is just it's horrible in a lot of ways. And what the headline that I was thinking of, I was looking at a few things here. Let me see here. Uh, because it is the news and it's important for us
Mhm.
to know what's going on in our community. But one thing that kind of stood out here is it says mental health counselors help public following Tyree Nichols' death.
Mhm.
And I know that has to be a huge, huge issue for all of us. So many people affected,
Definitely.
just like you said. You didn't watch the video, and I personally haven't either. And I
Mhm.
couldn't because I was already sick, and I was imagining like I'm
Yeah.
getting ready to take myself through a very triggering, deep, deep trauma that that really just hearing it, just the headline itself, I felt
Right.
like I don't need to see this yet. Now, I'm I'm on the fence. I'm on
Mhm.
the fence, because I don't like to make too many opinions about things if I haven't just really watched everything. But we don't really have to. We
Right.
we heard it. We're reading the articles. That in
Mhm.
itself is already traumatizing. And another thing
Right.
that for me, you brought up your brother, and when they said, he's a 6'3" guy, 150 pounds,
Mhm.
nice kid.
Yep.
Who does that sound like? That I would
Exactly
feel
like my
like
brother.
I would be watching my son. My
Mhm.
son is 6'3". He's 150 pounds. He's a good kid.
Yep.
I listen. And then, as I'm hearing the last thing that he said is he was calling for his mom.
Mhm. I couldn't do it. I couldn't subject myself to that. Just I don't feel like I needed to watch the video. Like I will never understand his parents or his family's pain, but I don't think I needed to watch the video to understand the magnitude of what they felt like. Just having that empathy and being able to relate, like that sounds like, that's the definition of my brother. Like he's a good kid, tall, real slender and small. So just hearing the description, it's like, no, I can't watch that because I know too many people who fit that description, and I can only imagine,
Skateboarder.
right,
I've got
what that
nephew. My
is going
nephew
through.
skateboards.
Hmm. Yeah.
Just too many things just hit home. And I just like I said, and I've been a little bit under the weather, so I couldn't do that right now because I wouldn't
Hmm.
be able to heal. It would take me into an emotional
Yes.
that
Yeah.
I really couldn't.
Because secondhand
Now
trauma is real.
it's real. That's the same reason why I was talking about this article that said, the mental health counselors are helping the public right now because people are going to need that type of help. And I've
Yeah.
had quite a few of my close friends who have been asking me, we've had some conversations about it, but
Hmm.
I've also not talked to a lot of people about it. I only had a conversation with one of my very good friends because of that. You know,
Hmm.
um, I didn't want to take myself into the conversation of it because even going into the conversation of it, you're going to have to think about the acts. Just like we're
Right.
talking about it now,
Right.
we're talking about the acts, and just like Keisha is saying right here, she said, "I feel like we've already seen too many of these videos from Rodney King
Hmm.
to the present day. I mean, we not
Yeah.
too long ago we watched George Floyd. I mean, there's just so many
Hmm.
names. Emmett Till. I mean, it's a lot. It's a
Right.
lot, and I don't think that people understand. I really am so disappointed, and that's just like the least I could say. But
Yeah.
I do
Same.
recognize one thing I want to say, and then we can kind of move on from this a little bit. If there's someone who has something that they want to say about it, definitely, you can make your comment. We're here to hear it. But something that I noticed how
Hmm.
very quickly that charges were brought up against the officers very quick.
Hmm.
Now, rightfully so. and they absolutely should have
Yes.
been. But my point is, that's all we've ever wanted as Black people for
Hmm.
things that have been happening with police crimes and police brutality. We wanted these people. We wanted this to be looked at immediately. We wanted charges to be brought immediately. And for so long, they have been taking us through so much political BS
Yep.
until they make it seems like we were wrong. So now we see that it can be done because it was
Right.
handled immediately.
Hmm.
So there's something to that system. It's just the
Right.
whole system of just madness. Madness.
Yeah.
Those five men were caught up into, I can't even call them brothers because they're not
Right.
our brothers. They haven't been brothers to us,
Mm.
you know. All
No.
right. I see somebody's asking here what's going on in Florence with all of the shootings. Whew, I don't
I've
know.
heard about that too. Yeah.
I don't know, but I could ask that same question about everywhere. If you just look in the news, there's been so many mass shootings. There's shootings everywhere here. That was my alarm, you all. Sometimes real life happens when you're alive, but it's
Literally.
happening. It's happening everywhere. I don't know what's
Hmm.
going on with all of these shootings. I was kind of wondering that myself. So
Yeah.
I don't know what we're doing.
Me either. Me either. I just do the best I can with what I got at this point.
I really don't know. I really don't know. I'm scrolling through the comments also and seeing what's going on with people going on. Um,
Hmm.
it's just too much. It's definitely not how we should be starting out. You know, it's
The
it's, it's
year. Yeah.
January. It's January.
Literally.
Yeah, we've got a few more days, but I just realized that there's been so many killings, so many shootings, and then
Mhm.
mass ones on top of that.
Right.
What's going on? Marvin Gaye wrote a song about it. What's going on, people? What's going on? Do we have
Somebody
any
gotta
good
know.
news? Do we have any good news? Is there something good that someone watching, is there some good news you want to share? If it's not, it doesn't have to be good national news. Do you have something good in your life that you want to
Hmm.
share? Anybody got some good news? Anybody got anything good?
I got some
You got some good news?
good news.
All right, share
I
share
feel
your
like I
good
got my
news.
first big girl. I got my first big girl paycheck this week, and when I tell you that felt good, that felt good. I said, you know
What?
what? And I actually enjoy my job. Not that I haven't enjoyed my previous employment, because I think I've kind of fallen into a career that I do like, but like I really enjoy it. Like I like going to work. I enjoy getting into the to whatever I got to do for the day. I'm not dreading going to meetings. And I got my first big girl paycheck. I was like, you know what? This feels good. I think I made a good decision. So it feels good to know that I stepped into a decision and I think it was the right one for me at the time. So that's my good news.
All right, that
Mhm.
is really good.
Yeah.
But I think you got a little bit gone. You got into track a little bit again. What you got
Oh,
going
I
on with
did.
that?
I did. So I'll be working as a track coach again, and that is really exciting. And I'll be working with athletes on the university level, which is even more exciting. Listen, you can't tell me I'm not hot stuff right now.
All right,
Like it
all
just
right.
it feels so good. It feels so happy. Like I think I said this to one of my friends. Like you know when you made the right decision, when everything you wanted starts coming to you. Because I feel like before, like I was making decisions and I was like, yeah, this is right. I should do this. I should go for it. But then I was also like yearning and fighting and struggling to get the other things that I wanted. And finally, I'm in a place where like things that I want are coming to me without me having to like go out and struggle and search for them. Which again, there's going to be some struggle. There are going to be ups and downs. But the fact that it's like, hey, I heard you did this, that, and the third. I would love for you to come help out with the track team. Like the fact that that came to me without to go fight for it felt really good. So
Right, right.
go
And you know
me.
what? You're right because oftentimes I feel like we kind of fight change sometimes. And
Mhm.
sometimes you do have to make some changes, and there will be times when you make decisions and you say, okay, well, you know, I'm not sure if this is the right decision. I feel like it is, but I'm going to move forward because I want to have some forward progression, and you do that. And
Right.
like you say,
Yeah.
but if you do it in good faith, and you do good
Mhm.
work, and you have good character, you're always, you be kind to people. Like, some of the things that you see are happening for you now are those same things that you've set up to happen. Those
Yes.
were the things that you wanted. You kind of have to have your mindset, going towards those goals. So,
Mhm.
people don't like to hear this, but what you believe is what will be. And I
Mhm.
do not know why people do not believe this. I
Yeah.
don't, because it is true. You have to know what you want, and you have to know it
Mhm.
in very specific ways. You can't just
Yeah.
leave things just wide open for the universe. I mean, this is a whole big universe. So many things can
Right.
happen. You need to know exactly what you want. When you
Mhm.
and,
Yeah.
and this is a crazy little metaphor here, but when you go to the
Mhm.
gas station to fill up your car with gas, you don't just pull up there and just put whatever in there. You don't just leave it up to the gas, the pump, to figure out what gas goes into your car. You specifically know what grade you need, and you've got to put the right one
Right.
in there. So when
Right.
you've got to be specific, know what you
Mhm.
want. And why wouldn't you be? Why
Right.
wouldn't you be?
Right.
People just don't believe it. I don't know why.
Mhm.
I don't know
Hey,
why.
that's why I also pay attention to what I say out loud and what I think in my mind. And it's something that I've learned. Like, it's not like I've been doing this my whole life, because I haven't. But just, even in conversation, like, be mindful of what you say, because what you speak can easily be transferred into existence. So I try not to speak too much craziness. I try not to speak too much negativity, because I want some greatness to happen in my life. So I'm only speaking of the things that I want, but I'm also trying my best to work towards them as well. So I'm gonna speak them, and I'm gonna put in the work, and we're gonna see what happens.
Absolutely, absolutely. You have to. You have to. Let's see. Amelia has something here that she wants to talk about. Let's hear what she got.
Mhm.
What is she saying?
Healthy relationships is a topic I love to discuss that doesn't stress me out. Good news, Piece of Cake Conversation is hosting workshops throughout the community to share skills to increase healthy relationships and awareness in efforts to prevent and reduce teen dating violence slash domestic violence. I love that so much.
Absolutely.
That is
Yes.
great news.
That is good news. We have to
Yes.
have advocates for young
Mhm.
people, and
Right.
advocates for the safety of young people. So many people don't
Mhm.
like, and it's a tough subject for parents. Even still, you think that we're in new ages and new times, and like parents might be able to communicate a little bit better with their young people, but when it comes to the topics of sex, it's still a
Mhm.
little difficult for parents to do that. It really
Right.
is. So it's
Mhm.
definitely important when persons and programs like what Amina is doing is there for young people, because they need information. They need real
Mhm.
information. They need honest information. They need to know where they can go for help, because there are many things that are happening out here that they don't understand. Um,
Mhm.
Consent. They've got to know what consent means. There's so many fine lines of walking that
Mhm.
fence that they might not understand, and they need it. So
Mhm.
definitely, you are appreciated, Amina. I know what you do, and I respect it, and keep doing it. Keep doing that.
Yes.
All right,
And
let's.
on that same subject, oh, we
I'm sorry.
have oh no, you're good. We have Michelle Law Gordon, who's also working with a building that used to be Magic City nightclub, using it as a worship space, but also hoping to provide a safe space where young people will gather to build healthy connections and just enjoy life and each other, offer workshops, empowerment trainings, etc. Which again is something so needed, because I feel like a lot of the times, kind of like you said, you know, in a certain aspect, parents aren't able to have those conversations as easily. But I feel like also it's a lot of young people who aren't willing to have those conversations or don't know how to have that conversation. And so they'll just based off of what they see. And they might not be seeing the best relationships. They might not be seeing the best communication. And so they feel like, oh, well, if this is what I'm seeing and this is what what I feel like love is like, then that's what I deserve and that's what I should be receiving. And that's not always the case. So just being able to create those safe spaces for them to have those conversations and realize like, hey, maybe this isn't what I need or this isn't what I should be doing is really good and really helpful. So I love all of that
Absolutely.
so much.
Yeah. Yeah. That's important. Um, I like what she's saying. She says,
Hmm.
I'm investing in North Florence community because if we don't, who will? And
Exactly.
that's true. If we're not investing in our own communities, we absolutely cannot expect anyone else to. We
Hmm.
cannot. And that brings me to speaking of investing in our communities. I'll tap on this a little bit that has been in the news. And although they're kind of taking like the fire for a lot of HBCUs, what's going on right now at Bethune Cookman is really
Hmm.
something that's happening in our community where we need to do better. We
Yes.
need to do better. We got to find better ways of taking care of our young people
Hmm.
because this school is for us. These are schools that we like to feel like they have a better advantage of being taken care of or completing their education well. We're
Hmm.
not showcasing that if we're not allowing them to do some of the very basic things and a very basic thing of being able to be in a good living condition.
Yeah.
Nobody said that it has to be 5 star, but it
Right.
certainly shouldn't be detrimental to their health, you know?
Exactly.
It shouldn't
Yes.
be. And I'll say this, they definitely are not the only they're not the only HBCU
Oh
who's dealing
no.
with housing issues. We've seen
No.
this happen with Howard. We've seen some
Hmm.
things where kids at other schools have been dealing with it, even FAMU. We've seen some things in the news where they've had some kids going to hotels, and there's just a whole lot of other schools that are
Hmm.
experiencing these same issues. Now, these are
Yes.
very old schools.
Right.
These are old schools, and we're not expecting a miracle. We're not expecting overnight for these things to disappear. But the thing is, it's not going to disappear. It has to be dealt with.
Exactly. Because, and I get it, historically black colleges and universities, but do they need to be that historically accurate to where we don't even update the buildings that these students are living in? It is 2023. I don't need to live in a residence hall that was built in the early 1900s. Times have changed, things have changed. Let's change the walls, let's change the plumbing, let's change the HVAC units, let's make these spaces places for students to live where they can be healthy. Because yes, we want to empower, we want to educate, we want to send our black students off to be great, but we don't need to send them off doing that with asbestos in their lungs. We don't need to send them off doing it with mold and all that stuff in their lungs. Like, at what cost are we willing to make our students, better and the best if we're detrimenting their health? Like, they're not going to last long if they
Right,
can't even live well in college.
right, right. And this whole thing just kind of it happened with a situation that they were having with the football coach.
Hmm.
And you already know I'm not into football. Everybody knows that. I'm not
Right.
really a football fan,
Hmm.
But I'm for people. I'm a people
Right.
fan. I want to see people doing good things. And
Hmm.
so, what has happened as a result of the whole football debacle or what's going on with
Hmm.
him has shed a light that I feel like people need to really be paying attention to.
Right.
And someone said, someone had asked me, someone was telling me about some of the schools here in South Carolina that are having some of the same issues. And I'm like,
Hmm.
well, I'm aware. There are a lot of HBCUs who are having these same issues. And it was like, well, you guys need to shine a light on that. And I asked the question, I'm like, well, why are students not doing that? That's a
Hmm.
part that I couldn't understand, especially in these days and times, particularly because like They have social media platforms. They're walking around with these. They could take the pictures, they can do the videos. So I'm trying to figure out like what is being said to them or what is making them fearful of telling their truth. And
Mhm.
if they're not absolutely putting it on blast in that particular way, are they not expressing it to their parents? And if they're
Right.
telling their parents, how are parents allowing their kids to stay in mold? Because do you think that my kids could tell me or make me aware that they're living in mold and that they will be living in mold?
I was
Do
about to
you
say no.
think that?
No, as an adult, I wasn't able to do that. So I definitely don't think as a undergraduate, young person in college, I would be. And I think part of it is with the students, that may not want to voice up. Is part of it is retaliation, and another part of it is they're seeing that nothing is being done about it. Like they see the students at Howard, protesting and doing what needs to be done. They're seeing the things that are happening at Bethune, but then it's like, yeah, we're on social media. So a lot of these students do talk to each other. And it's like, okay, well, they just did enough for us to stop complaining, but nothing is changing. And so at a
Wow.
certain point, if I'm living in mold, but I'm seeing that nothing is being done to help the situation, I'm not going to keep fighting a battle that I know I'm not going to win. And so it's like
Wow.
at some point, I feel like these students are choosing between, do I want to just finish this degree and move on? Or do I want to sit here and keep fighting this battle, potentially get some backlash from the university or whatever may happen? Like, what do I actually want to do? And I feel like a lot of students just decide, you know what? I don't have to live in this building next year. I don't have to live on campus. Let me just get through this time that I'm here so I can move on. And I feel like that's what's happening, which is
Ah.
really sad,
Okay.
which is
Okay.
really
Okay.
sad.
I see keeping up with C. She says, right, especially when tuition is going up every year and they're
Right.
getting other funding as well. So why
Hmm.
not make things better around the campuses?
Hmm.
That's what I say, one building at a time. And
Right.
my thing is this, just like when Howard or we're not putting any particular schools on blast, like we said, because it's a
Right.
lot of them. There's a lot of them.
Hmm.
Probably probably the
Probably
majority. Probably
right.
the majority. But when they see these things happening in the news, and now I'm not even talking about the students anymore. I'm
Mhm.
talking about the administration and the staff who are working on these campuses. Like after they see a particular school getting what could be considered, it's very accurate, but they might want to consider it bad press. And for the sake of the
Right.
conversation, let's call it
Mhm.
bad press. Once they
Mhm.
see a particular school getting bad press, and they know that they too have the very same issues,
Mhm.
why does that not give them an incentive to say, you know what, we got to have some type of plan
Right. And I
because
think
we could be put on blast next.
right. And I think like I do think that crosses their minds, but just from observation, I've noticed a lot of people and a lot of administrators at a lot of these institutions, like a lot of times they went to the institution they work at, right? So they're like, "Oh, well, we didn't have these problems when I
Ah,
went here." And I'm like, "Yes, but you probably went here when this building was brand new. This is the
well,
exact
I
same
hope.
structure that was built when you went there. What makes you
I
think there
don't
aren't
think
any
there's
issues
any
now?"
brand new people, but
Right.
you're right. They've
But if
definitely.
you've been there and you may not have experienced those things when you went to the university, but things have changed. And I think a lot of administrators get so far removed from the living on campus aspect until they are solely focused on making their school look like the best school ever. And I get it. You want
Right,
to make it, you want that sense of pride. You want that, yeah, my school is the best. My students are great. But don't remove yourself and act like you didn't have to live on campus when you were in school as well. And if you had these
right.
problems, you would have wanted them fixed. And I just think we need more people in administrative positions who care about the way the students live. Because I don't think administrators don't care
Yeah,
about the students, but we need to care about how they live because it's the fact that
right.
they are spending more of their time at this university than they do with their parents at home. Let's be honest. They go home for 2 weeks at a time. For Christmas, they go home for fall break for 3 days, spring break, they don't even go home. They go to Miami or whatever. They are spending more time with us at these universities than there are at home. We
You're
need to
right.
take care of them outside of the classroom.
You're right. But because if we just look at the very two just the two latest examples, and they just
Hmm.
happen to correlate with football.
Right.
Coach Prime, and then we had the guy, Coach Reed. Ed Reed.
Mhm.
And so we had Coach Prime, who dealt with his situations very professionally
Right.
and very diplomatic because that's who he is. And well, I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but if I'm in a university, I'm working at a place, I'm going to be professional as well, and I'm going to be
Yes.
diplomatic as well.
Mhm.
Although I very much feel the passion and the exact same feelings that Ed Reed feels. He just
Mhm.
expressed it differently.
Right.
Um, and I know a few curse words. I can throw some out there too. And
Yes.
and definitely, I don't think it should be about the curse words, but
Mhm.
what happened was important because
Right.
it exposed some of the same issues. And even to this day, now we know that Coach Prime and his kids, they came from a certain lifestyle, which they should. I
Mhm.
mean, he's a millionaire, they're a multimillionaire family, right? So I'm sure when they went to Jackson State, there was a lot of things that they were very much not used to, and they dealt with
Mhm.
quite a few things.
Right.
But not one time, and even to this day, have you heard anything about that?
Mm-mm.
You haven't. And perhaps they lived off campus as well. But because I did pay attention to the fact that you said, and I didn't think about that. The kids are like, okay, you know what? Let me just get through the semester, whatever the case may be. And
Mhm.
I'm moving off campus because I can't live like this. But what broke my
Right.
heart, and especially with the pictures that I've been seeing, some of, from Bethune Cookman in particular, is that I'm looking at all of that mold. Like mold was on the kids' bedding, on their
Mhm.
bedding, their clothes, just all of their stuff. Okay, so as a parent, I'm looking at that and I'm like, wow. Okay, you can see all of the mold on the stuff, right?
Mhm.
But this is where you sleep. You can't
Yeah.
see what the mole is doing inside of your body. You can't
Exactly.
see what it's doing inside of your lungs, what it is doing to
Mhm.
your health. So if it is doing that to your stuff, come
Right.
on. I got to get
Right.
my kid. I got to get
Yeah.
my kid out of there. Listen, you got to find a new way. You got to find a new place to be. I
Mhm.
don't know, even if it's like, and trust me, I know that's easier said than done because finance. A lot of kids, they
Right.
can barely, afford to be in school. So to live off campus is just a
Exactly.
whole nother beast and a whole different cost,
Right.
So
Mhm.
I get that.
Right.
But maybe it calls for changing schools.
It might. And that's the thing too, because as a coach, I understand. I think as a coach, I understand where Coach Prime was coming from, and I understand where Ed was coming from. Because on the inside, I felt like Ed, but on the outside, I felt like I had to present myself like Coach Prime because it's like, okay, out where do I want to go next? What do I want to do next? And how bad is this going to hurt me? But at the same time, can I really help my students if I go to Coach Ed route? And then it's like, well, I've been trying, under the radar, trying to speak up and voice for the students because sometimes they don't tell their parents, and it's like, listen, I wouldn't live in that. I'm not going to live in that. And I think as coaches, even though we're not the students parents, we have like a special connection to our athletes, kind of like that. And it's like, I know you're here and your parents are somewhere else, another state, another city, so I'm going to take care of you while you're under my watch. And it's so disheartening to see your athletes and your students go through that. So it's like, okay, well, let me try the diplomatic route. Let me try to speak up. Let me see who I can talk to. And then they're
Right.
not doing nothing. So now it's like you decide, do I want to go Coach Ed route? Or do I say, you know what? I have done all I can do, and I'm not getting to a place where I can actually be of help. So I have to move on because if I stay here, I'm hurting the students just as bad as this mold. So I think that's kind of how, I don't know because I ain't talked to Coach Prime, but I think,
I get what
but
you're
if you want
saying.
to talk Coach Prime, let me know. But I think that's the route he ended up having to go. It's like, you know what? I have a passion and I have love and I know what I wanted to do. But if I can't truly help these students, I can't stay here
Right. You
because
you have to find
you
it,
can't.
it puts you say, okay, I like what I do.
Right.
So I like helping young people. And that goes beyond color. This thing is just
It
not about
does.
black and white. And then when it
Yeah.
comes to coaches and when it comes to students, a lot of the athletes are students who look like him anywhere. So whether you're at
Hmm.
a HBCU or whether you're at a PWI, as a coach, you can still effectively, you get that opportunity to work with young people. And that's
Right.
really what it's about too. So
Hmm.
m- really what I want to say is I really want us to just change this thing one building at
Same.
a time. Find a way
Literally.
to, yeah, one building at a time. But residency is very important. And I also think about the fact that if you have these young people living in these living conditions like that, I do not feel like they should be paying for that. I
Mm.
just don't. And if
Right.
they want to collect for that, then I think
Hmm.
you need to be given a good service. If you're not given a good service, I don't think that it should be being paid for. And they're complaining about food. You know,
Right.
Black people like good food.
Exactly.
We expecting good food.
So,
Why you why you not getting good food?
at least halfway decent. And I will say too, because I've seen a lot of the behind the scenes on the housing route. And, a lot of people love to say, well, HBCUs get all these donations and they get all this money, and why can't they do better? But if you really look at it, they're not getting donations to residence life. They're not getting donations to rebuild residence halls. They're getting
Hmm.
donations to fund research. They're getting, money for academics, which is great. They're getting money for athletics, fantastic. But until people start donating money to say, you know what, I want to build a residence hall for this HBCU because these students need to
Ah,
live better, it's because it's so expensive. Not making excuses for anybody, but it's
that
so
makes
expensive.
sense.
And until we get people who start donating, specifically saying, I want this money to go to housing so that they can upgrade this building, so they can build a new building, that money is not going to get designated there because that's not what people are donating it for. So
I
you
am
have housing
so
department.
I'm
Oh
sorry.
yeah, I was just saying you have housing departments that are fighting for money because they want to do better, but in some instances, not all, they don't have the funding because the money is delegated to all these other areas, and then they just get the leftover change.
I understand now. I understand. It makes a whole lot of sense. You just really kind of helped me understand what was really going on. I
Hmm.
appreciate you saying that because you're right. And I don't think a lot of people thought about doing that because, well, people didn't know that was
Right,
going on. So I
right.
feel like now is an opportunity for people
Hmm.
to say, you know what? Okay, well, I want to donate to this school, but I specifically want to donate to housing. We
Right.
have to have people who start donating towards housing,
Hmm.
and that makes
Right,
a whole lot of sense because they're not getting the funding for that. They're spending
right.
it on other things. Wow.
Yeah, because if a
And
school gets $7 million for marine biology research, how much of that do you really think is going to housing? None of it. They're going to go underwater and research with the manatees. But they'll still students still have to come back and live in mold. So you really have to think about, okay, especially for everybody who's like, well, everybody has all these comments about HBCUs, but nobody's donating. And it's like, no, people are donating. They just need to donate to the right areas.
wow. You know what?
That's what it is.
Listen, after this live is over, I am going to have to run back through this footage again and I need to cut this piece out because
Hmm.
that is a truth that a lot of people need to hear. It is
Yeah,
so plain and it is so simple, but it's something that we just did not think about.
right.
We
Because it's
need
something I didn't
people
know
who are going
either.
to do that.
Yeah,
Right.
because I didn't know until I was able to work in areas in housing where I also had, people in the department who were transparent about those things. So
Wow.
unless you know, you don't know.
Right. If you and if you don't know, guess what? You just
You
don't
don't know.
know. Because
Right.
let's be honest. Let's just be honest about this thing. Nobody thinking that they're sending their kids to school or thinking that their kids going to deal with that. They wouldn't
Hmm.
necessarily send their kids to that. I don't think
Hmm.
when donors are donating money that they're thinking that the housing situation is not being taken care of. We know that they're massively underfunded. We know that they're
Right.
really, but we've got to stop making
Hmm.
excuses for that, and we've got to, like I said, we got to do. one building at a time, if it's one floor at a time. They have to
Literally.
find some way, some cleaning and maintenance
Mm-hmm.
schedule or routine that is going to make sure that this mold is not reoccurring over and over, and just overgrowth of that till it's taking over a kid's bedding. That
Exactly.
broke my heart, because if I see it
Oh.
on your bed, I know that it's in your
Yeah.
lungs.
Oh, listen,
I
because I
know
have
it's
seen some things. I've seen mold growing up walls and across the ceiling and down the
well.
furniture.
We
So I've
this is
seen
what
it.
we've been seeing online. So
Yeah.
Bethune Cookman just kind of opened, like, some of the things, that pictures that we're seeing now. It's like a
Mm-hmm.
can of worms. We've heard about it before. I saw the kids in the tents. I can't remember what year, but it was just a
Mm-hmm.
few years ago. I saw the kids protesting at Howard, but I didn't see the pictures.
Yeah.
But what I'm seeing now, like you said, the stuff on the walls, this, that, and the other, we're
Yeah.
seeing it. But now
And
we know that we specifically need to have people who are donating and who are looking to say, okay, you know what? I need this to be the Shaq Residence Hall. Like,
right.
okay, we know he's a great athlete. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
he could have the Shaq basketball
Basketball,
gym,
gymnasium.
or
Right.
help with athletics, or football field, locker room, whatever the case may be. But I need this to be, you know, the residence hall. We
Mm-hmm.
need some people out here to want to have these residence halls. I can't
Right.
call out any people's names because I don't want to really spend their money. But the
Right.
reason why I said Shaq is because I saw within the news, allegedly, I don't know if it's true or not, but I saw
Mm-hmm.
that he was looking to make donations to Bethune Cookman at some point. But
Mm-hmm.
those are the
Yeah.
type of things that we need.
Right. Right.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, I'm sorry. I went to, let's see what this is. That's what I hated about some of the schools here. Classrooms had mold, but new stadiums were being built. Couldn't make it make sense. But you can make
Because
something like that make
you
sense.
can't. That's just what people were sending their money to. They said, "Oh yeah, we love the football team. I want my name on the stadium."
Right. But
But what about where
now
those students have to go after they play the game?
you made a great point. That's a great point. That's a great point. And I didn't expect us to really talk about that so much, but that was something that was happening in our news.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So listen, we got to let people know that we are back. We see you guys are throughout the
Yeah.
chat and throughout the comment. You're talking to us and you're talking to each other. And that's what we like. That's organic.
Yes.
You see them in there talking to each other
I
in the
love
chat.
it. I love it so much.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Thank you, guys. We made it. This was the first episode of the new year for 2023. Tell them when we
What?
do this thing.
We do it the last Sunday of the month. And
Mm-hmm.
see, yeah, so you remember when we said new year, new me? So this is a new year, say me, because normally I tell myself I have my calendar ready so I can
Mm-hmm.
be ready for the next day, the next last Sunday. And did I have it ready today? No. But guess what? I have it now.
Okay. What you
And
got?
we're going to see y'all again on February 26th at
We will
6
be
p.m.
back here February 26th.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We gonna be
That's
here,
a month
y'all.
from now.
The
Oh, that's a week
last
before we
Sunday.
see Jill Scott.
Ooh. Mm.
I'm so excited.
All right, y'all. So next month is Black History Month. So there's a whole lot of
Mm,
things that will be going on within the next couple of weeks throughout the month. Also, is it Women's History Month as well? Or is that
March.
in March? Okay.
That's
So
March.
that's in March. February 26th, we'll be back here, 6 o'clock. Make sure you guys do something positive, share some good
Mhm.
news, help somebody in some way. Remember, if there's a point that we shared that you feel like you can go with and you can run with it.
Take it and go.
Anything else you want to share with the people?
I think that's it for now.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. I'm
Because we've been
positive.
we've been talking for an hour. I mean, we could talk another
It
hour if you
went,
want to talk.
did this not feel like it went by so fast?
It felt
Like
like
this
it went
hour
by
went by
fast.
kind of fast.
It went by fast.
This
We
is
can
new
keep
year, new
talking.
time.
What you got to say?
We
Keep
could,
talking.
we,
You know
we
what?
could, but I am kind of hungry.
I am too. So, but there's another thing. I think I need to let people know this. Black History Month is coming up, but you
It
need
is.
to make sure that you buy the Little Black Book of Poetry. You do. Little Black Book of Poetry is available on Amazon.com, and it is available wherever you see me. So if you see me, but not at the grocery store though, because some of y'all listen, some of y'all do be asking me, and not like that at
Right.
events. All right. I
Right.
had so much fun talking to you guys. I always have a good time talking to you, KJ, and I love
Yes.
you.
I love you too.
All right, y'all. See y'all same time next month. All right. All right. Peace.